Good evening, everyone, and welcome along to WOR Legacy Division. We are here tonight on the console for Season 2, Round 9 of the Championship, as we've taken the Italian Grand Prix from the Autodromo Nazionale di Monza. My name is James Head. I'm going to be taking to the stream, hopefully with an internet connection to boot as well. Delighted to be taking to the stream, of course, once again for Legacy Division. And joining me in the comment box, not Evan Dalton, to the right-hand side. It's sadly the only camera screen that I had available, but making his return to WOR Legacy Division for the first time since the qualifying night, it is Mr. Callum G. Callum, how you doing?
Very good, mate. It's good to be back. It's a great intro as well. You've introduced me fantastically well there. But yeah, I'm certainly looking forward to it tonight. The tempo speed here in Monza, it's a great circuit, a lot of history about it, and it always delivers a bit of good racing, especially in league racing. So yeah, over the next 2 hours, we should be in for a bit of a cracker.
We should be in for an absolute cracker indeed. The drivers are out on track, or just about to leave the pit lane. In fact, in a very dry qualifying session, I can report. Looking though at the standings, of course, coming into tonight, Talent Factory getting their lead reduced once again. 205 points the advantage, and only an 8-point advantage over Paradox Sim Racing, who do have a qualifying ban, which we'll come on to in just a second. They're on 197 points in second. Outplayed Racing, of course, in third on 129, with Visceral Racing in fourth on 104, Nexus Racing in fifth on 67, Shazoo in sixth on 54, then Juventus in seventh on 32, WOR Esports in 8th on 23, Summer Racing Team in 9th on 20, and then Team Valor only a point behind them in 10th on 19 points. And Callum, of course, you've been away quite a few weeks, so you probably haven't caught up on the action. But seeing from the standings, Talent Factory, 8 points gap over Paradox and Racing. Paradox, of course, do have a qualifying ban because Nick blocked Kian in qualifying last week in France.
Yeah, that's a huge curveball for PS. I just kind of catch myself up the standings before tonight. It was really interesting to look at actually Talent Factory, what an incredible job they've been doing. But over the last 4 races, I mean, PSR, they've really got their act together. They've won 4 out of the last 4. I mean, that is pretty special stuff. And then last week as well, a first and a third as well the week previous to that, and a first and a second. So they're on some very good form at the moment. Talent Factory, they've not been doing too great as of late. One podium out of the last 3 races, that is not ideal if you're looking to try and win a Constructors' Championship. So they need to maybe try and get the finger out. So I think for Talent Factory tonight, try and just get back on it, try and get up on that podium, and then especially try and capitalise on that qualifying ban for PSR.
Yeah, definitely so. And they have got Kian and Legend, who is making his return actually to Legacy Division tonight. I believe it's his first race as well within Legacy Division this season. So he'll be one to watch out for. The drivers are just beginning to make their way out on track. Many of them are going out on the traditional set of intermediate compounder tyres. But what we can do before we get to the on-track action, of course, is have a look at the track map in question. Around a bootleg-shaped track, of course, 5.7 kilometres in length around here at the Autodromo Nazionale di Monza, with the 11 turns awaiting our drivers out on track. 3.5 mile, 11 turns, with 2 DRS zones, of course, one down the start finish straight into the Rettifilo chicane, and then one down the Curva del Seraglio in towards Ascari at turns 8, 9, and 10. And Callum, this is a track where the historic meets the modern, basically, in terms of modern-day Formula 1. This is a track, though, on this game, certainly, that's going to provide drivers with a bit of trouble, especially with the curbs.
Yeah, absolutely. The curbs are absolutely brutal around here. I think F1 esports drivers are extremely critical of this track and the kind of unpredictability of the curbs. I think the big one is turn 4 and 5. I think Valiant De La Roja is a pretty poor one, and Ascari as well. That's another really tricky corner. The curbs are a little bit hit and miss. It's sometimes a little bit unsettling for the cars, and I think I'd put my house on it that we're going to see drivers get caught out by these pretty unforgiving curbs tonight.
Oh, definitely so. Definitely so. There'll be quite a few, I think, potentially in the wall and the race as well. So we'll have to ride on board and see who the drivers are that are going to be setting the lap times first. And that is Asacom, the first man out on track. The OP team have actually got both of their cars out first. So Asacom and Ray, the first two out on track, of course, both on the PS side. Both, of course, formerly of PSGL F2 as well. Asacom through the first sector, 26.8 in that first sector. The drivers are on a set of intermediate compounder tyres, so these are not going to be the times that you're going to be seeing as we go through the end of qualifying 1. Qualifying 2, qualifying 3, as per recent weeks, has certainly been, I think, the real threshold and the real setting point, I think, for the race, and that could be really interesting. We could see the likes of potentially Tom up there, potentially Magician. He could perform a bit of magic alongside him as well, hopefully for the NOX team. 54.6 though for Massacum in that middle sector. Now coming through Ascari, turn 9, then to the left-hand at turn number 10. I will throw a curveball out there immediately and say apologies if there is any lag or anything, or my internet dies, because Virgin Media have been having a few issues. A Sav, Magician, and Legend have retired, and I believe we might be having a restart judging by the retirements here.
Yeah, that would be traditional legacy division of a restart. So yeah, by the looks of things, it doesn't look like this lobby's got too much future about it.
Yeah, I will have a look and see what has been said to us in the chat. And it's on the wrong weather. That is why we're going to be restarting. So it is on the wrong weather. Somebody, Tom, hasn't put it on midday. It is not midday conditions, and that is unfortunate. As Tom there just coming through the final couple of corners, but we will come back to the on-track action very soon. It's not Legacy Division without us starting late, is it? But honestly, we are probably going to get going in around 5 or 10 minutes time. We are going to have that restart very soon indeed. As Sav saying as well, why have the commentators left? Well, the commentators left because there is going to be a restart, and I don't think drivers have been said. Tom saying blame his engineer as well. But what we can do is realistically look at the championship standings once again. Talent Factory, of course, leading the way on 205 points. Paradox Sim Racing in second on 197. And because we are having that restart, the drivers are actually retiring, so we need to join back, apparently.
Okay.
Oh, goodness me. Yeah, somebody's going to have to invite us into the lobby, I think. Oh dear, oh dear. But yeah, hopefully we can get that invite in very soon. Hopefully, I know Tom can certainly invite me. Hopefully, one of the Xbox guys can invite you. Deary, right? As I say, it's not Legacy Division without the wrong weather, but they are going to be retiring. And it is going to be midday weather. So midday weather, it is going to be for the race. We need to get back into the session. So yeah, bear with us while we do that. Goodness me. As I say, it's not the best start to Legacy Division, but we will definitely come back roaring. I'm sure within the session. But yeah, we'll run through the championship standings while we do get the lobby invites back up. Talent Factory and Paradox Sim Racing only separated by 8 points. They've been really consistent recently, Paradox Sim Racing, but because Smokey has taken that qualifying van for PSR, he's not going to be up there amongst the thick end of the field, and he's already going to be out in Q1. So where is he going to come into the fold potentially in the race?
Yeah, that's going to be an interesting one. I think it's really important to just survive the start as well when you're starting at the back of the grid. It's always going to be a tough one. Carnage is kind of inevitable at points. So I think for Smokey, he needs to just make sure he can survive. And I think it's not about going and trying and win the race. I think it's just about picking up points. We've still got a long way to go. It's a fairly long calendar, still another 6-7 rounds, I think, after this one. So a long way to go. So I think for Smokey and PSR, just make sure you're getting consistent points. Keep piling that pressure on Talent Factory. And you're hoping for their scenario that it does come out in the end as they're the champions.
Yeah, definitely so. Talent Factory, as I say, the last 2 weeks really have been a little bit of a disappointment potentially from their perspective. They have got Legend and Kian going to be racing for them tonight. Paradox Sim Racing have got Smokey, as I've already mentioned, alongside. I will get the full race lineup up for you guys in just a second. Alongside Sav, it will be for PSR. Running you through the full teams. Team Shazoo have got Tom and Rick in. Rick, first time out in for Team Shazoo. Ray and Asa come in for Team OP. You might have seen some of the guys already there. Ogween and Arch are in for their final races, actually, for Team Valor, so that'll be interesting to see how they're going to get on. Legend has already been here once this season. He's alongside Kean, of course, in Talent Factory. McCabe, Sam, and 2D are in for VSR. 2D's first race of the season, even though he actually impressed me, certainly in Console Tier 1 a couple of weeks ago. Weena and Francesco in for Juventus Racing for the JR team. NRX are represented by Magician and Zinity. Of course, Levi and the likes from last week have gone, unfortunately, and they are going to be competing in F1 Esports Challengers come, I think, in a couple of weeks. So they're going to be pretty much focused on that. That's why Magician and Zinity are in for their first races. Dan, the only sole representative for WOR, and then Smokey and Sav also going to be in as well. You've got an invite, I think, by the way, to the lobby. I still can't get in, which is really strange.
Yeah, maybe I've just got a bit more love from the Xbox guys, but yeah, I don't think you're missing much. We're still just sitting in qualifying 1, and we're still waiting on someone to retire. So yeah, we've been sold a dream a little bit there. We're still sitting waiting everyone to retire, but yeah, hopefully we're not too long now. But yeah, it just adds to the anticipation, I suppose. So yeah, we'll get there eventually.
We will get there eventually. I'm just literally sitting here waiting. I believe we are waiting on Dan Spreen, if I'm not mistaken. Apparently, there's a certain rumor going around that he's gone to the toilet and he can't be in contact, of course, when he is on the toilet, which is the weirdest thing ever. But it is an excuse that I've heard certainly before, where drivers have tried to retire out of the session, and in the end they've had to wait up the full 18 minutes because of it. But yeah, hopefully I can get an invite. Tom, if you're listening, or any of the PS guys that are in the lobby, please invite me in, because otherwise they're just going to be seeing a screen, probably time trial and the likes, potentially from my end a little bit sooner rather than later. But we will get going very soon indeed, and hopefully it will be worth the wait, because, as I say, the weather was set up a little bit wrong. We are on midday conditions, or we are going to be on midday conditions apparently going forward in the lobby. Still sitting, waiting. Callum, any report from the lobby?
No, Mike, great host actually, just as you said that, maybe someone's had enough of waiting around. Yeah, so I think maybe the host has left. Maybe a new lobby. I don't want to get our hopes up just yet, but maybe we are deciding after all. So yeah, Shizu Tom has left the session, so maybe we're getting a new lobby. That could be, I think, the new way forward.
Yep, we were doing the lobby. Just seen in the paddock chat, we are redoing the lobby, which is perfect, because I could just sit on the standing screen for a long amount of time, and it would be good to get the invite, of course, out very soon. Indeed, looking through the comment section, by the way, good evening to everyone that is tuning in. Crispy saying we are having that restart, of course, and that is why we are going to be a little bit late and behind schedule. It's always like this in Legacy Division. We're normally about 15-20 minutes late anyways. We got on time pretty much this week for the first time, I think, ever, and then Tom has set the weather wrong, so that is why we are going to be restarting. Looking through the comment section though, Evan there in the chat saying hello to everyone, and can't wait for you to smoke the grid in CTC. This is not CTC, my friend, that's a competitive team championship. I think that is on Thursdays, if I'm not mistaken, that he's referencing to in there. Fezzle there as well for the Juventus Racing team. He is going to be there, of course, supporting the Juventus Racing team here. They're currently in 7th position on 32 points. Jona having a good race, of course, last week for them in France. But Juventus have got to try and stick it up a gear. They've got Chizu to try and aim at, Nexus to try and aim at. And to be honest, Callum, if you said to me at the start of the season Juventus would be up there with Team Chizu, I probably would have laughed, because I thought Juventus were going to be toward the bottom end of the field. They are in 7th. They're 22 points off Chizu. Chizu, they're on 6th position. I honestly expected them to do better, if I've got to be honest.
Absolutely, I think I can agree with that statement. Shizu I think for the standards of Shizu, it's been a tough season for them. I think as a kind of a collective, they're known as a big team in the kind of F1 scene. And yeah, they've just not completely lived up to that this season. 6th is still a solid result, but I think I look back to Legacy Division last year when it was on Xbox, I think they finished 3rd. So it just shows a little bit of, just not really moving in the right direction. But for Juventus, it's fantastic for them. 7th is really solid. They've not picked up any points in the last 3 races, so they'll be looking to turn that around. That's probably your only major criticism of them. And then I'm going to just have to kind of look a bit further down and look at WOR. I mean, it's just an absolute disaster of a season. I'm going to put it politely. Currently sitting 8th in the standings, not scored any points since the 2nd round of the season. It just doesn't look very good for them. And considering it used to be a great team, they used to be so strong at the start of this game, it has all just went a little bit peak-tong for them.
Yeah, definitely so. And yeah, WR down and 8, they had Nemaya and Dan, I think, raced from last week, if I'm not mistaken. Nemaya was running well. He had a spin a little bit later on, though, in the race in France. Dan Spreen, I think, returned from work, quite literally. Came back late. We were late in getting going last week, so he was actually on time in comparison to the actual start time of 7 p.m. So Dan Spreen there and 8, they've done a decent job. Yes, they haven't got the drivers that they might need to try and compete with the likes of Talent Factory and PSR. They're doing a solid job. Every single team, to be honest, is doing a solid job, I think, this season. But we are getting that restarted lobby very soon indeed. I did have an invite, by the way, off Tom. However, it said on my end that the invite could no longer be used. So that is absolutely brilliant from my end. So we have to try and wait on a potential invite to come out once again. But yeah, we are getting that lobby very good. We are still in the lobby, apparently. Apparently, drivers are going through into Q3, I've just seen.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah, it's not ideal, is it? Hopefully we can get it turned around soon, yeah. But yeah, it shouldn't be too long now.
Shouldn't be too long indeed. I'm looking through as well. Looking in the managers chat actually. It must be on midday. Yeah, it's apparently it was on realistic. That's why it was Talent Factory Mies to blame for the restart. Everyone, so if you want to direct your comments at him, you can. But honestly, obviously we've got to try and give it on a fair playing field. The Talent Factory boys do not want that distinct advantage. I think going because they are the top team in the session. What we will do though is while we wait for everyone to retire out of that session and to get going out of Q3 and then back into the lobby, potentially we will go to an advert break, so we'll be back with you, as I will get the right advert back in around about 30 seconds or so. We'll play the Williams Esports Lounge advert, and then we'll be back with you in 30 seconds. Right, we are back live. I accidentally clicked on the wrong thing, but we're going to roll with it anyways. We are going to look at the track map, of course, in question. The boot-shaped track, of course, of the Autodromo Nacional de Monza. 5.7 kilometres, then 3.5 mile. 11 turns, of course, awaiting our drivers out on track. Those 2D lessons are going to be absolutely crucial in terms of overtaking. The curbs are going to catch people out. What can we expect potentially from this race, Callum? Because this track, honestly, as I said a little bit earlier on, is the historic meets the modern day Formula One. And this track in the past has been known for absolutely insane racing, absolutely insane racers. Gasly coming to mind in 2021, and of course Vettel in 2008, both in the AlphaTauri. Could we perhaps see an AlphaTauri out on top tonight?
Absolutely. I think we could see anyone come out on top tonight. I just want to bring everyone back. I think maybe on the Xbox side they'll remember this more, but last season on Tier 1 in Monza, I remember Otis Lawrence, one of the only teams who didn't win, was at this track, and it was like a wet race, and I think in the last lap he was on rise. It was a soaking wet track. It was absolute chaos, and just every time I come back to this track, I just think, wow, what a track. And it always just delivers action. You mentioned the real life races there, even in league racing as well. It's fantastic for producing good racing. It's really positive in terms of there's good straights. You've got the hard breaking into the first chicane. That's always really good for overtaking, and that can carry on through Curva Grande, then into the chicane, turn 4 and 5. So it's just a fantastic track for racing. I'm sure we'll see a couple of bumps, a couple of spins, a couple of crashes here and there because it's such an aggressive track. The curbs are brutal. You have to be on it. If you're not on it, you're not going to be on the pace. So I think it's a great track, and I think we will probably see some slip ups along the way tonight.
Yeah, I think we will. I think we will see. Apparently there's going to be an invite given to me very soon indeed. Tommen's going to send me an invite over, which is brilliant. It will save us having to go through the looping screens that I've got certainly on my end. Looking through the comment section as well. Avatar saying in the chat, "Did you sleep well last night, commentator? You were tired and alone." I'm guessing he's on about me because I did PSGL F2 last night alongside FBR Timon, of course, who was the FBR PC manager. If you didn't catch that, of course, you can go and watch that race. I'm not providing any self advertisement for PSGL whatsoever on a WOR stream. We have to try and give as good as we give, though. Of course, the action was really good there, and yeah, Avatar, I did get a good sleep last night, and hopefully we will get the on-track action very soon indeed. I still have not got an invite, unless I've been invited on the crossplay account, which I will check now. No, I'm just friendless, I think, at this stage.
That's quite unfortunate. Crispy sent out a chess invite in the chat, so I've now just kind of started briefly playing Crispy a game of chess while commentating. So the multitasking is well and truly coming out at the moment, but it's not going too well. But yeah, it just shows the desperation we're getting here. We're just trying to waffle our way through until we're trying to get this lobby to restart. But yeah, we're all in the lobby now, so literally should be coming on now. Yeah.
Yeah, Tom's just sent me an invite. Finally, Tom has just sent me an invite of about 15 minutes of me waiting, I think. We are now finally about to get going once again. I have gone spectator. The 19 drivers are in. We should be good to go very soon indeed. So we'll flick back to the drivers' standings in just a second. But Talent Factory, of course, leading the way from PSO in second. We've already been through the championship standings, I think, already enough. But to not bore you anymore, I'll give you a full rundown of what is going to happen. Talent Factory on 205, PSO in second on 197, Outplayed in third on 129, VSR in fourth on 104, Nexus in fifth on 67. They could be one to watch out for, I think, with their new debutant lineup here tonight. Shazoo in sixth on 54, then Juventus Racing in seventh on 32, WOR Esports in 8th on 23, Summer Racing Team in 9th on 20, and then Team Valor in 10th on 19 points. Stonks saying, are we racing at Monza? I'm not quite sure. Yes, we are. We're racing at Monza. The audio apparently is not good. That might be on Callum's end, so I will apologise. He is probably in the wilderness somewhere in Scotland, I'm assuming, given his internet, I think, in the background. Hopefully it will hold, though. It's better than, gotta say, it's been better than my internet today, because my internet's been crashing all the time. But what we can do is finally get onto the on-track action mode, just now loading into the lobby. And looking as well through the chat, somebody's calling each other a rat. Evan saying as well, seems like all is going well. At least you didn't have this commentary gig, Evan. You were on standby. At least you didn't have it.
Yeah, like he's counting his lucky blessings now. Hopefully that is the audio issues sorted. If anyone could just let me know if it's pretty rubbish, just feel free to say. But yeah, we're now in the qualifying lobby, which is pretty good. It's good we can finally get going. Hopefully all the settings are correct and we can get cracked off into this race.
We will, of course, qualifying 1, qualifying 2, and qualifying 3 waiting our drivers. Frankie saying blame the WO owner. Luke Humphries coming back to him saying blame Shazoo. Yeah, I blame the former rather than the latter, I think, of that conversation. Tom being the lobby host and all that. But we are now in Q1. It is beautiful blue skies. You can tell the weather is different as well. It is midday now in terms of the conditions. So it gives everyone an even playing field. Frankie as well was saying, apparently he's also saying it was realistic on the general chat. Okay. There might be a little bit of stupid inquiry coming afterwards, but the drivers are now wasting absolutely no time whatsoever, and we are going to get the first cars out on track, and the Shazoo man of Tom is going to be the first man out on track. On that set of intermediate compound tyres, Smokey has retired, of course, from Q1 because he is serving the qualifying ban on behalf of PSR. That could be quite a smart strategy, though, to be honest, Callum, because Smokey there is going to be starting right down the back of the field. He's had absolutely no time to get a setup on. He's not allowed to get a setup on. He can just play about within the park firming rules and regulations. He's going to be starting there down in 19th. He could perhaps come through the field and absolutely carve his way through the field, and I wouldn't even rule him out for a top 5 finish.
Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of the benefit that you do get from having to start at the back. You can really tailor that setup to suit you in the race, and I'm assuming that's what he'll do. You know, he's not an idiot. I'm sure he'll try and make the most of the scenario that he's in. But as I did say earlier, it's so important to make sure that you just survive. You know, these lobbies can be quite chaotic. It's 19 incredibly talented drivers, but also 19 incredibly hungry drivers. They want to do whatever they can do to win, and they'll maybe force another driver off track, and chaos can kind of ensue from that. So Smokey has to be really careful when trying to make his way through the grid tonight. But if he can do that, I think you could be right. I think Smokey could definitely be on for a top 5 finish.
Yeah, definitely. So, Evan, I know, is absolutely suggesting to me pull predictions from the commentary team. I will make my top 3 prediction right now as he is saying that. For me, for top, I am going to go Legend for pole position. I think he might be one to watch out for Talent Factory. For second, I'm going to go for PSR Sav. And in third, I would have gone Smokey, but Smokey, of course, is serving that qualifying ban. For third, I am going to go for, looking through the field, FRA Arch for a little bit of a shock. The FRA man there in 7th, a little bit of a shock potentially from him to try and qualify within the top 3.
Oh, I quite like that one. That's a good one. I'll give mine. I've got limited knowledge on these drivers, I'm going to be brutally honest. But from what I've seen, I'll go for, I'm going to copy you, go for Legend on pole. I'll go for Sav in second and Keegan in third.
Yeah, Keen in third. PS bias, by the way, from the Xbox guy here in the commentary box. I never thought I'd see the day, which is great. Tom, though, was the first man out on track. He's on the run down the Covered El Serralio in towards Scary Chicane, of course, at this end of the middle sector. He's on that sort of intermediate compound tyres. As in fact, I think most people are at this stage. In fact, everyone that is on an outback currently is on a set of intermediate compound tyres. They are the tyres that everyone is on currently, as shown on the left-hand side. But Tom now on the run up towards the curva, oh, what is it called? It was changed. It's Parabolica, but it's the Curva Alboreto, named after Michele Alboreto, of course, as we now come through the final corner there at Michele, at the Alboreto curve on the run to the line. 21.9 from Tom, not too bad at all. To be honest, on a dry track, that's only around 4 seconds off what we should be seeing, I think, in terms of the pole time. So Tom, from Arch, from Ray, they're currently in the top 3. Zinity is on lap as well, the NOX man. Newcomer, I think, to the Legacy division, alongside his teammate, of course, the NOX man of Magician, who's there in third, and what's another bit of magic over the field so far. Zinity on the run down in towards the right-hander of Parabolica. And so far, so good, I think. Tom, Arch, Magician out on top. Everyone on that set of intermediate companion tires, as we say, and everyone who wants to risk it for sort of soft sustain in the pit lane, including 2 of the guys that we put on for certainly pole position, Kian and Legend, who are still in the pit lane.
Yeah, people are just biding their even after all this waiting, some people want to do some more of it. Intermediate, so some good lap times considering they're on intermediates in the 21s. That's probably quicker than me if I was in the soft. So yeah, fair play to these lads. And yeah, just going out there just for a laugh, basically seeing what the track's like. Probably just appreciating that it's in the correct conditions for once. But yeah, I think maybe give it 5-6 minutes, and then yeah, these times will start to really show where everyone's at.
Yeah, Sav goes miles wide coming through Lesmo 1 and then to the right hander of Lesmo 2. And that is a shame, because he's just invalidated coming out of Lesmo 2 there as well. But Sav was on a good lap. He set a purple first sector compared to Tom with 21.991, the current personal best in the session. 54.5 that would have been from Sav in that middle sector. Asacom is on a lap as well. He's actually coming through Parabolica, the AlphaTauri man. The OP team, of course, representing AlphaTauri. Italians in an AlphaTauri. Never thought I'd see the day either, as Asacom has come into the pit lane. So they're in 13. Tweedy there as well on a set of intermediate compound tyres. He actually excelled in Hungary a couple of weeks ago here in Legacy Division. He made his debut actually for VSO, I think, in that race. And he's there, still in 18th position, had an invalid lap time, but he is going to go and try and go for another run. But the first lap times are done, albeit 5 of them. Tom out on top for March in second, Magician in third, Ray in fourth, and Zinity in fifth. They are the only ones to have set time so far. And Evan there in the comment section saying, yes, we will have an intermediate championship. I think certainly for the first part of Q1 is that too. He's the only man out on track at this stage.
Yeah, it's slow at this part of qualifying, but today he's just making the most of the limelight on the intermediate. So we've got what is that, a 6th man to an intermediate championship. Let's see what he can try and do. I think he can try and get it up there. I'm sure I think he'll go maybe top 2 on these intermediates. Are looking pretty healthy at the moment. I'm actually surprised how good these intermediates are. It's a complete sidetrack, but yeah, I didn't realise how good they could be. It looks like they're actually holding up pretty nicely. He's purple at the moment at 53.3. His sector 2 time nearly cuts a scary there, but you know what? Pretty impressive so far. And yeah, all pretty casual stuff at the moment from the majority of these guys. But as I said, probably around about now, I think we'll start to see probably everyone get out on the soft tyres and try and make a dash to make it into qualifying too.
Yeah, definitely so. Tootie coming through the final corner, and he's in the pit lane, so will not be taking the intermediate championship victory here tonight in Q1. Drivers are going on that sort of soft compound tyres, you can now tell. They're on the best times that everyone has set on in terms of the compound tyre. We've got no action out on track, which would be good, I think, at this time to promote our sponsors, of course, Gridfinder and Next Level Racing. You can catch all of their information in the description below of this video. And we are, I think, beginning to get the first drivers out of the pit lane. I think there was a Haas potentially coming out the pit lane. But everyone is still in the pits with 10 minutes to go in this qualifying session. Tom, Arch, and Magician currently your top 3 with Ray there 4th, Zinity in 5th. Imagine if everyone invalidated this this session from now on. We had that as a top 5 going into Q1, and then literally every person in behind was on an invalid lap time. Who would be determined out of Q1? It would surely be the guys in 16th, 17th, 18th, and 19th.
Yeah, I think that is how it would go. I think, unfortunately, I think goes off driver number then, doesn't it? So yeah, that would be pretty bizarre. And I would do. I've seen stranger things happen in league racing, so I wouldn't be too shocked to be honest. But yeah, I think we've got a couple guys coming out now. I think we've got Rick out at the moment. We've got an Aston Martin as well, who's getting a feel for things. That's Magician. So yeah, we've got a couple guys now on the soft compound attire. So we're really starting to spice it up now. We're going to really get to see where everyone is at this track, and yeah, this is where things get a little bit more interesting.
Yeah, definitely. So there are the graphics that everyone is on, by the way, or the tire that everyone is on. Set us off compound tires, and we will begin to see first runs out on track very soon on this dry compound tire. The intermediates, by the way, on a dry track normally act like a set of hard compound tires. However, because of their grain and their wear, they run at about 2.5 seconds slower than a set of hard compound tire around here. And obviously, when they dispose of the water, when it's intermediates, around 25 litres of water disposed of a second, they obviously get rid of that water, and then it turns into a dry compound tire, pretty much. So the intermediates may be needed in the race. I don't know what the weather's going to do, of course, in the race. Hopefully it is going to be dry. Evan, though, saying, right, time to get a tad more serious. It is time to get a tad more serious. It's now on board with Rick, the Shazoo man, coming through the final couple of corners. Former Academy driver, of course, for Team Shazoo. Now, of course, promoted to the full team, and we now run on the run down in towards turn 1. As long as he stays within the white stuff, I think he is going to be going purple ahead of Tom at this early stage. We'll turn the timing tower off on the left-hand side. We'll turn it back on at the end of this lap as I picked up with green for a mistake there. Rick there comes through the retrofit chicane of turns 1 and 2. Then through Curva Biasona, or Curva Grande to you and me, coming through the right-hander of turn number 3, taking the very thin line. You can reach